And we don't need any more affordable housing in Santa Monica. We really don't. I mean, if you can't afford to live in Santa Monica, then live where you can afford. I've been corresponding with a couple of you, and I'm trying to stay calm because you know how passionate I get about this subject. I've been living on Ashland Avenue in Santa Monica since 1996. It was my first home that I bought for myself. And it was great because the neighborhood is like Mayberry, and we like to keep it that way. We all know each other. We have a great community. We walk to our schools. We all know each other, and we stay together. And we are thoroughly against these out-of-state developers that are coming in and taking over these R1 lots. They tried to do it on Stanford, and we're fighting that as well. We had a beautiful family living there, and then the old woman died, and now a developer comes in and takes the house. Is that what you would want if you grew up in that house? We're fighting for 1230 Ashland, but we're fighting for the landscape of Sunset Park. And this is not affordable housing. These are $2 million units each. So, you know, yes, it's not $4 million what we're getting right now, but $2 million each, but we're gonna fight it and we're gonna win because we wanna keep the landscape of R1 neighborhoods in Sunset Park the way they are. I have nothing against apartments. I lived in apartments in New York, in a cockroach-infested apartment in Queens when I couldn't afford to live in New York City. But when I could afford to live in New York City, when I worked hard and I earned my pay, no one handed me low-income housing. I earned it and I worked for it. And that's where I come from. I come from you aspire to buy a single-family home and you aspire to live in a neighborhood like Mayberry. So we're gonna fight too because we've always been the stepbrothers to Santa Monica. You have so much development happening in Sunset Park. Why us? Why are you always picking on us? We love our community and we want to keep it that way. We want to know our neighbors and we don't need any more affordable housing in Santa Monica. We really don't. I mean, if you can't afford to live in Santa Monica, then live where you can afford. Just like if I want to live in Manhattan Beach, I can't afford to live there. If I want to live in Bel Air, I can't afford to live there. When I bought my house, it was $365,000 for a 900 square foot house, which is very expensive.
Thank you.
I think I was struck by the comment about a house on Ashland. I guess that was vacated by the death of an elderly woman, and it made me get back to the heart of why I think a bill like this is so important, because I think increasingly in our communities, we do see older homes that are being vacated, often through an elderly resident who's dying in the community, and that home is typically put up for sale. Most of the time today, that home is scraped, and in place of a modest 1,200 or 1,300 square foot home, the new owner builds a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot mansion. That's the only thing our zoning code allows. The point of an ordinance like this is so that that home could potentially be transformed into, say, 4 or 5 homes, each around fairly modest, 1,500 or so square feet, nonetheless room enough for 3 bedrooms that could house a future family. Each one of those families would probably pay somewhere between $1.5 and maybe $1.75 million for a chance to live in a new home in Santa Monica, in a good school district, in one of the best places in LA County, where currently their only option would be to spend over $4 million. And they just simply can't do that. So yes, if my mom were to vacate a home, I would actually find it to be a great blessing if it would be able to make way for up to 4 to 5 or even 6 new families who want to live in that community and partake in it the same way that I was able to when I grew up in it. And as a homeowner in Sunset Park, I say that this would very much enrich my community. Before we had single-family zoning in America, we had something called racial zoning. The cities determine what parts of the city one could live in based on their race, and we zoned for race. That was until the Supreme Court case of Buchanan versus Worley, which outlawed the practice of racial zoning in the early 20th century. So cities around the country, in response to the overturning of racial zoning in America, came up with a new really great strategy called single-family zoning. Previously hadn't existed in America. Apparently a race-neutral way to keep poor people and people of color out of your neighborhoods by determining that if you wanted to live in that neighborhood, you had to buy at least 5,000 or sometimes 10,000 square feet of land, making it prohibitively expensive for most people who were considered undesirable. I think someone said, I've lived in apartments and otherwise, but those people shouldn't get to live here. I think that was said tonight. That's exactly why single-family zoning was created, to exclude people of color. And that's exactly what we're trying to undo tonight as we talk about equity and as we try to move forward as a city The Supreme Court at the time ruled in the favor of single-family zoning. The justices compared the dwellers of apartments to cockroaches and said that it would be a justifiable health hazard to forbid apartments from single-family zoning because the dwellers of apartments were akin to cockroaches infesting a neighborhood. I don't believe the dwellers of condos and townhomes are cockroaches. I believe that we should be undoing the racist legacy that we all are attempting to do. And I believe that we should be making room for more families in our lovely city.
What Councilman Swick said this evening clearly, and I guess I'm one of the older council members on this, was exactly what Mayberry was all about. And I hope that this city understands that we are looking ways to find more affordability, more diversity. And when we talk about R1, R2, R3, R1 excluded many people of color and those individuals that weren't able to afford. And now we're in a city that is so expensive to live for anyone. It's just another way of exclusionary. So for me, Mayberry raised the hair on the back of my head. And I just want to state that.